All right, and we are happy to welcome to the show Christian McLeod, production director for EA Sports College Football. If you're watching on the YouTube channel, you see his Michigan State flag in the background. When I visited EA Sports 2 years ago, I learned that not only did Christian and I both go to Michigan State, we also went to the same high school. Not only did we go to the same high school, we went to the same middle school. So small world and all that. So Derby Middle School, Seaholm High School alum Christian McLeod, welcome to the show. Welcome to the bunch.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. It is an honor to be here.
College Football 26 is out after a long process, obviously, to bring back the second edition of the game. The first game, doorbusters, broke all kinds of records, all kinds of stuff like that. What were the biggest points of emphasis for you guys coming into 26?
Yeah, I think, we were very proud of where we landed in College Football 25. It was a 10-year hiatus. We had this mantra that we had one shot to make a second first impression. And while we were proud of the game, and it was amazing to see the public reaction there, we knew that we had a lot of unfinished business. We left a lot of meat on the bone as we finished that game. And really, this year was all about finishing what we wanted to start. You look at things that we had in terms of quality of life improvements in dynasty mode, as an example. A lot of the high school moments, or the recruiting experience in Road to Glory. We looked at pieces on gameplay that we weren't able to get to, just around the physics-based tackling, as an example. That was not ready last year when we launched. So it was really just going out and taking what we had and that success that we had and just one-upping that, polishing it, and just really making an amazing experience that not only we want users to play, but we are sickos. We are people that we were all making fun of each other in the office. We're spending 500, 600, 700 hours on our dynasty modes alone. And that was kind of the badge of honor within our dev team. So when we looked at it, it was just, what are those things that we want our users to be able to experience, but what do we want to experience as fans as well?
Coming into this, obviously, you mentioned some of the depth and some of those other things. There's pretty obvious fixes you wanted to make in the game. What is the pressure of kind of managing and balancing that line of fixing something that has been a problem in the past, or you want to go deeper, versus just changing something to make it different?
I wouldn't say pressure, but I think it's high expectations. I think this is a team that has very high expectations, because we take our core tenet as a team culture very seriously, which is this is their game. This is not our game. This is not my game. This is their game. It's everybody's game. It's your game, Chris. It's your game, David. And so it is. There's a lot of responsibility there, right? We need to be able to look at the product. We need to be able to look at it, audit it, understand what do our fans want? What are they asking for? There's a great responsibility there. I think something hit me a long time ago. I didn't come up from the game industry. I was in a totally different industry and came over in 2011. And something hit me pretty hard where I ran into somebody at the old E3 trade show, which doesn't happen anymore. And they took me aside and said, hey, I got laid off from my job and I spent my last $60, $70 on your products. And I think it was at that moment that it really hit me like a ton of bricks. And I think it hits our team like a ton of bricks. It's like we have a responsibility to put something out that people can really engage with and enjoy. And, that goes into those decisions. Is there's certain things that we look at that we want to go bigger on, but until we feel like that foundation is where the foundation needs to be, we're not going to go attack those pieces. We look at everything in a 3-year time frame. We have 3-year roadmaps on every feature that we build. And so it is important for us to make sure that we're buttoning everything up, dotting those I's, crossing those T's before we move on to that next big piece.
Is there a specific feature in this game that you guys are most happy to see reality, like those changes that you mentioned?
Yeah, this one's a little bit nerdy for me. I've always been a super big time of day, kind of jerseys and the look and sort of the vibe and the feel. I mean, Chris, there's nothing like November in East Lansing, Michigan. It's gray, it's wet, it's disgusting, but it is college football. It's something that we love. There's nothing better than that. And I was really, really proud of the work that the team put in around the dynamic time of day this year. It was a situation where we challenged the team. We set a goal of how do we make time of day, but how do we make time of day in a way that college football fans will appreciate? And what does that mean? It's not just like you see in other sports games where you change from a 3:30 lighting to 4:30, 5:30 as the game moves on. But college football is so unique in that you've got these regional color palettes and these regional lighting palettes based on the time of year. Can we accomplish that? And the team was able to accomplish that. And it really just blew my mind. I mean, you go into the game right now, I think it was really early in the dev cycle. It's probably like February. We were just going into alpha. And I was playing a game at Autzen at 6 o'clock at night. And I think it was in October. And the sun was coming over. I forget south end zone.
I did that. I literally did that yesterday. And the first quarter at Autzen at that time of year sucks. The lighting is tough. But it gets better as the game goes on.
Yeah, and it was just it was one of those moments where we're wearing the chrome lids, and I'm watching it. I'm like, whoa, like that is a definite visual upgrade. So I think we're really proud of that. I think the team too is really proud of just a lot of the gameplay nuances that went in. You know, Scott O'Gallagher, our creative director over there, Clint Oldenburg, all of our team there, amazing, passionate people. You know, things like the quarterback vision, where depending on the height of your quarterback is going to. Apologies real quick. Let me
you're good.
Hang that up.
I'll just say here, by the way, David Ubben, not a big fan of dynamic lighting for the record.
Not true. Not true.
So far, I keep playing games at 6 o'clock when I do a custom game because I want to go from day game to night game through that process. I like it. So, but you're talking about the gameplay.
Yeah. So from the gameplay, I think one of the cooler ones is that the quarterback vision and where height actually matters this year. It's not like the old quarterback vision cone, but understanding that shorter quarterbacks may have a harder time seeing over that line. Mm-hmm. And so therefore you've got to get the cleaner pocket. It's going to impact how you're using the passing. If you're pinging your meter into the orange versus into the green, there's like a lot of nuanced, polished, refined pieces, from the run game, the run fits, the stunts and twists. I think that's one that we're all super excited about as well. Just furthering that chess match on the sticks. That's one of our big goals. We want you to be able to go in there and feel as if you're not just playing the computer or playing AI, but you're actually using core football fundamentals to play that chess match.
Yeah, when I was doing Road to Glory, my quarterback a couple times hit the offensive line dummy while doing the passing drill because I guess I wasn't tall enough. So it was annoying, but I guess it is realistic. Dave, let me get one in quick. Dynasty mode. So I've been doing Dynasty mode. The portal and the coaching carousel are out of control early on, which I know is kind of by design. Some people might like it, some people might not. I had a situation where the computer Shane Beamer took the Clemson job en route to winning the national championship in South Carolina, which on one hand is extremely funny, but on the other hand is obviously not as realistic. I know transfers, a much more active portal that is very customizable. You can change the max number of transfers. What's the process of kind of trying to open something like that up, but try not to open it up too much or kind of adjusting? Because I had a couple of top 10 coaches like take other jobs, and that obviously wouldn't happen.
Yeah, it's something that we tune, and it's obviously something too, Chris, that we want as much feedback on as possible. It's great that this game is fully launching worldwide today so that we can get that feedback across the board. We take the feedback very seriously. One of our big core mantras as well is we listen. We are scouring under the covers there on Reddit, on X, various Facebook posts. They don't know who we are, thankfully, but we're kind of finding it out. But it is challenging, right? There's so many different systems that play there. And I think there's so many different expectations of reality, especially in college football. A great one that we talk about often was we were going through and we were tuning the logic for the playoff last year. And it was the first time the playoff had ever happened. And we were getting semi-unrealistic results. And then all of a sudden, in real life, Indiana ends up going to the playoff. And it was one of those situations where had you told us in June, hey, Indiana's making it to the playoff in your game, we'd be like, that's bugged. Let's add logic there based on the prestige, whatever that may be. But to your point on the coaching carousel, that is one that we're looking at heavily right now. We've been getting a lot of internal feedback. Some people feel like we're getting a little bit too much movement. Other people are saying you're not getting enough movement. So again, kind of a constant churn there. In terms of the portal itself, though, that was a big one for us. We went into last year, and I think we all walked out at 25 and just felt like the portal experience was not as volatile as it is in real life. And how do you? Our big core tenet is we want to make sure that everything in our game, there's some real stakes. There's some real meaningful decision behind it. So, you trying to talk a kid into staying, or you recruiting a 5-star but then not playing the 5-star. There should be some give and take there. That's kind of going through your head. The portal for us this year was one where we wanted to get about 2,000 players in the portal. And we wanted to get that to be sustained probably over, the 30 years of your dynasty. We didn't want to have like 2,000, then all of a sudden it dwindled like last year down to like, I think 200 or 100 after about 8 years of dynasty mode. So we I think skewed a little bit higher, and we're seeing a lot of the feedback out there. Some people love it. Some people are really kind of bothered by it. But what was beautiful about it is our team went in and they added the user sliders.
Yeah.
So we wanted to give users control, since we knew it was going to be such a hot button topic of, listen, you can go in there, determine how many CPU players transfer, how many user players transfer. Do you want mass chaos? Do you want 4,000 players in the portal? Do you want 1,000 players in the portal? It's really on you as a user. And what's been fun to watch is a lot of the feedback out there is people are in that's heated debates on the forums right now. Like, this is the number. I want you to take the slider to 15. No, take it to 25. And so I think through the community sourcing, we want users to be able to create. We want users to be able to make their experiences. They're going to go out there. They're going to determine what the best is, propagate it out there. For you, Chris, maybe it's 15, maybe it's 10, maybe it's 25 for you, David. So we want to give you all the tools possible as we move forward in this dynasty sandbox to create that experience that you want.
Mm-hmm. I got to say, talking about Indiana making the playoff is a bug. You sound like Greg Sankey, Christian, I got to say. Road to Glory mode this year, obviously the partial mode kind of fixated on moments. Why do that instead of like playing the 4 or 5 games that you had in 14, which I remember? I guess I didn't realize it was sort of polarizing at the time, but what went into that decision making?
Yeah, it was a big one. We looked at what 14 was. We have data, we are very data driven, data informed rather. And we wanted to make sure that first and foremost, even before you got to a high school experience, that we really tried to pay off the recruiting experience. We felt like in year one, Road to Glory was about living the life of a college athlete. Okay, we talked, the meters and the leadership and the academics and the scenarios and Audrey and all that fun stuff. So year two was about, how do you make me feel like I'm being recruited? How do I have the real stake in the game here? Oregon Trail is a big influence of ours. Is we love that game because even if you feel like you're making all the correct decisions, I'm a banker from Boston, I've got this many oxen, I'm going to ford the river, I can still capsize and somebody could die of dysentery or snake bite or whatever that is. So it was important for us to make sure that we put this recruiting experience in there where I felt like coaches were contacting us. You felt like you were making some meaningful decisions. You had some stakes in the game, but also our big one was ensuring that you were part of an actual recruiting class. It wasn't a situation where I'm going to go in there and compete with Bryce Underwood at Michigan, as an example. Like, Bryce Underwood's going to be a sophomore. This is actually happening while Bryce Underwood is in his freshman year. And so with that being the number one goal, and with the other goal being, we didn't want to have users be in this mode for hours upon hours, because we do find that our players love playing Road to Glory. It's a real 8 to 10 hour experience that they then go back and replay and then replay and then replay. So we got together and, instead of going full high school, we really felt like, let's try to figure out a way to make a quick 45-minute to an hour experience where you're getting that taste of being recruited, where you're getting those meaningful moments on the sticks, and then, get into college and kind of, deal with the coach happiness and see all those other pieces. So it's definitely, something that we're again monitoring, we're looking at as we move forward in the future. We know people love high school, but we really, again, at the end of the day, want to make sure that our goal is all about that fast to fun experience in that mode specifically. And the last thing we want to do is we don't, to your point, David, 14 was a bit polarizing. Having worked on that, a lot of people loved it, but actually a lot of people didn't engage in the full 8 to 12 game high school experience.
Mm-hmm.
And
I did.
I didn't love high school mode back then.
I loved it. I didn't realize people didn't like it.
The new one kind of feels geared toward me.
Yeah, and I think a big reason for that was a bit of maybe what you were feeling, Chris, which was, I just want to go to college, right? I want to I don't want to be spending hours upon hours upon hours grinding through this high school experience. So I think it's something, I love it that both you guys are coming from different aspects, because that's what we're really looking for. We're looking for the feedback. Yeah. We're trying to see how this is gonna go over. We're really proud of it. We're excited about it. But again, in the future, nothing's really off the table. It's just more, what is the data going to show us, and how are users engaging in it?
Mm-hmm. I'm a big custom playbook guy. Love the scheme, and I'm also a pretty big online guy. I like online. I like Dynasty, and I like Road to Glory. What what was the decision to say, hey, like we're not going to allow custom playbooks online unless it's like your friendly game or in your crossplay dynasty?
Yeah, so this is another one that spurred some pretty intense debates internally. The way that
Interesting.
we look at it is we feel like Road to the College Football Playoff is a mode where we want to celebrate those schools. We want people to go in there and actually master. When we talk about 136 ways to play, we want to showcase that. And so what we want to avoid there is finding certain teams with certain personnel that if you throw them into a certain scheme, all of a sudden become the new meta, versus it being about the actual schools. Like, we want to challenge users to take a tier 5 school like an Army and go run triple option and go into Bryant Denny and win that game with the home field advantage and all, right? Like, that to us is the ultimate piece of competition there. It's not necessarily changing around the playbooks and the schemes and the formations the way that you want. It's like, this is a true mode where it's true balance, right? There is no real exploit in terms of I can, last year we had the Jalen Milroe. Everybody used Alabama as an example, right? But everybody also loved using Air Force's playbook. We don't want people taking Jalen Milroe, putting him in Air Force's playbook, and then all of a sudden breaking the experience. So that was really where we come at it from. Again, we've heard it loud and clear, but we want to make sure that it is that truly balanced arena that users can go into and really just celebrate their schools as well. And I was one on the line of initially wanting the playbook change as well. And I think the more we talked about it as the team, the more I fell into the camp of I understand it, right? That balance is there. Definitely something like we can look at in the future, of course. But you do have Ultimate Team, you do have, to your point, your online dynasties, you do have your Play a Friend there to do that. But yeah, there's something about those videos that keep coming out about certain people taking a Louisiana Tech as an example and winning a national championship with them in that mode. That's really kind of special at the end of the day. Like, you can't replicate that in any other sport than college football.
So what do you guys do now post-launch? Obviously, glitches pop up. Some of us experience them. What are you guys doing after the game is released?
Yeah, so our team is monitoring, right? We are always monitoring. We are scouring. We're figuring out where the bugs might lie, getting those fixed. But we're also thinking about the future. That's a big thing for us. We joke internally a lot of there really is no downtime for us, because even before we're shipping the product, in that year, we're thinking about what next year's about. We're thinking about what the following year's about. We're trying to get our ducks in a row, our designs together to ensure that we're hitting the ground running. I think the beauty and the curse of a iterative sports title is that you have a finite window of development. It's not like we're building a Halo or a Mass Effect or one of these games 3, 4, 5 years in development. We have an 8 to 10 month dev cycle where we need to have our ducks in a row and be able to hit the ground running. Everybody take a vacation real quick, come on back, and we're rocking and rolling. Because again, there's a lot in 26 that we are super proud of, but there's also a lot that we look back on and we say, we got to improve this, and this. Not going to spoil anything right now, but that's what we're thinking through at this moment. So honestly, after this meeting, I've got meetings about the future and grinding on some of that stuff. So,
Christian, we want to thank you for coming on the show. We want to leave you with one quick question. For Christmas a couple years ago, my wife bought a kitchen for my daughter with no regard for how difficult it was going to be to build it. I want to offer a similar challenge to you to leave us with. There's a feature that you could have in the game, a dream, and you don't have to think about actually doing it. What would you like to have?
Oh boy. That is a great question, David. I don't want to say anything because I'm a big believer in, and I mean this in all sincerity. We're able to build anything, right? It all comes down to, at the end of the day, capacity. It comes down to cost. It comes down to user, sentiment. Something that I've always loved, and I'll throw it out here, and this is not any, future thing, but maybe we've thought about it and talked about it, is I've always been a big fan ever since I was growing up as a kid playing Bill Walsh of a concept of like a dynamic rivalry feature. I don't know if you all play your dynasties. There's always a team or two that you play through in your dynasty where all of a sudden you just feel like there's some bad blood there, right? It's a situation where they're playing you a little bit tougher. and you're not quite sure why. I was UTEP, and I had this whole UTEP Boise State thing last year in college football 25 as an example. And we just went at it. Every game we played was amazing. And so I would love to see, the ability to create this dynasty rivalry trophy between UTEP and Boise State as an example, and track all that information and have that dynamic rivalry feature. So
look, I mean, Bob Diaco tried that in real life.
That's
with
what I
the
was thinking. Civil
trophy,
conflict.
So that is pretty realistic.
Which is in our game, by the way. If you need
yes, it is.
Conflict, it is in the game, in the trophy room. So
yes, it is. Shout out to Eric DeSalvo at UCF, who currently has that trophy. I wrote a story about it on The Athletic a couple years ago. So, all right, Christian McLeod, production director for EA Sports College Football. Thank you very much for the time.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys. Take care.
Appreciate it.
Thanks.